What if I told you one of the greatest fights Muhammad Ali ever faced wasn't inside a boxing ring? No cameras, no roaring crowd, no championship belt. Just a small hospital room, a dying boy, and a moment so powerful it changed everyone who witnessed it. This wasn't about fame. It wasn't about legacy. It was about courage. Because on that day, the greatest didn't come to win a fight. He came to give a child the strength to face the end. And what happened next left nurses in tears, left a family forever changed, and revealed the real reason Muhammad Ali was called the greatest. In the summer of 1974, as Muhammad Ali prepared for the most perilous contest of his career, something happened that never made the headlines. A father arrived at Ali's mountain training camp in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. In his arms was hope and heartbreak. The man's 8-year-old son was dying. The boy's name was Billy. Chemotherapy had taken his hair. Leukemia was taking the rest. Doctors had whispered the timeline in sterile rooms. Weeks, maybe less. The father had driven all the way from Ohio with one fragile wish, that his son might meet his hero before time ran out. Ali had just completed a savage session, 12 punishing rounds, sweat-drenched, muscles trembling, the air still buzzing from leather striking flesh. Gene Kilroy, his trusted aide, approached carefully. "Champ, there's a boy, terminal cancer. I can send them away." Ali didn't hesitate. Bring him. He believed service to others was the rent paid for life, and he intended to settle that debt in full. Billy stood small beneath a baseball cap pulled low. When Ali knelt to meet his gaze, the boy removed it. Bald, pale, brave. "I got cancer," Billy said plainly. "Real bad." For a fleeting second, silence thickened the air. Then Ali opened his arms. Not a polite embrace, a real one. Fierce, protective, tender. Kilroy snapped a photograph. Ali kneeling, massive frame folded down to the child's height, arms wrapped around a frail body that should have been chasing baseballs instead of battling mortality. Ali's eyes were closed. Not the showman now, just a man holding a child who deserved more time. The camp had fallen quiet. Even hardened sparring partners blinked back tears. When they parted, Ali kept his hands on Billy's shoulders. "You know I'm about to fight George Foreman, right?" Billy nodded. "They say I'm too old, too slow. They say he'll knock me out." A pause. "But I decided I'm going to win." Billy managed a faint smile. Ali leaned closer, lowering his voice like he was revealing a sacred code. "When a man decides something in his heart, really decides, it becomes real. I promise you, I'm going to beat George Foreman." Billy's eyes shimmered with something new. Not fear, faith. "Now you promise me something," Ali said. Billy swallowed. "You fight that cancer the same way I fight Foreman. Not try, not hope. Fight. Every morning you wake up and say, 'I'm Billy. I'm a fighter. I'm going to beat cancer.' Say it when you're scared. Say it when it hurts." "Yes," Billy whispered. Ali grinned. "I can't hear you." "Yes." Still smiling. Louder. "I'm going to beat cancer." The entire camp erupted in applause, grown men cheering a frail child declaring war on his disease. Kilroy printed 2 copies of the photograph that day, one for Billy, one for Ali. From that moment forward, something shifted. Ali tacked Billy's photo beside the mirror where he shadowboxed, before dawn runs, before grueling sparring, before doubt crept in whispering that maybe the critics were right, maybe at 32 he was finished. Ali would stare at that picture. "That little boy is fighting for his life," he'd think. "How can I complain about being tired?" On October 30, 1974, in Kinshasa, Zaire, Ali stepped into the ring for the legendary Rumble in the Jungle. 60,000 boys roared. Foreman was younger, stronger, devastating. Ali absorbed punishment along the ropes, a strategy later immortalized as rope-a-dope. 7 grueling rounds of endurance. Then in the 8th he struck, exploring off the ropes with a combination that sent Foreman crashing to the canvas. 10 count. Silence. Then pandemonium. Ali was champion again. Amid the chaos, lifted on shoulders, cameras flashing, one thought cut to the noise. Billy. A week later, Kilroy received a call. Billy had watched the fight from his hospital bed. In terrible pain, he kept repeating, "He did it." Ali kept his promise. The next day, Billy slipped away. His father placed the photograph in the casket, alongside a note. "You're going to beat cancer, and I'm going to beat George Foreman." When Ali heard the news, he wept. "I did it for him." For years, the story remained private, sacred. Billy's photo stayed on Ali's bedroom wall, not for publicity, not for mythology, for remembrance. At Ali's funeral in 2016, Kilroy finally told the story publicly. Billy's father attended, now elderly, carrying that same faded photograph, exhumed and preserved after 4 decades. "Your father gave my son hope," he told Ali's family. "He made him feel like a champion." Today, that photograph hangs inside the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville, Kentucky. Visitors stop before it. They linger. Something in it arrests them. A giant kneeling to a child. Strength cradling fragility. Promise meeting belief. Beneath it are words Ali lived by.
Service to others is the rent we pay for our time here on Earth. Billy did not conquer cancer, but he fought. And Ali did not win that night merely because of strategy or speed. He won because he carried a small boy's faith into the ring with him. Greatness is not always measured by belts. Sometimes, it is measured by a promise kept.
The hospital room was quiet. Machines hummed softly in the background. The smell of medicine filled the air. And on the small bed, barely able to lift his head, lay a young boy named Billy. Billy wasn't dreaming about toys. He wasn't asking for games. He had one wish: to meet Muhammad Ali. At that time, Ali was already more than a boxer. He was a symbol, a hero, a giant in the world of sports and beyond. When Ali heard about Billy, he didn't hesitate. No press conference, no cameras, no publicity stunt. He simply showed up. When Ali walked into that hospital room, everything changed. Billy's weak eyes suddenly lit up. The champion who once shook arenas with his voice now stood gently beside a hospital bed. Instead of roaring like the greatest, he spoke softly, almost like a father. Ali leaned closer and said, "Hey champ, I heard you've been fighting." Billy smiled faintly. Ali didn't talk about titles. He didn't talk about knockouts. He talked about courage. He told Billy that real champions aren't the ones who win belts. They're the ones who refuse to quit, even when life is unfair. Then something unforgettable happened. Ali gently held up his fists and said, "Let's show them how strong you are." Billy, with all the strength he had left, raised his tiny fists, and for a moment, it wasn't a hospital room anymore. It was a boxing ring. And Billy wasn't a sick child. He was a fighter. Ali shadowboxed lively, pretending to dodge Billy's punches. Nurses and doctors watched in silence, some holding back tears. This wasn't about fame. This was about heart. Ali stayed longer than anyone collected. He spoke to Billy's parents. He reassured them. He prayed with them. Before leaving, he bent down close and whispered something only Billy could hear. No one knows exactly what he said, but witnesses said Billy's face changed. He looked peaceful. In the days that followed, Billy's condition worsened, but his parents later said something they would never forget. After meeting Ali, Billy wasn't afraid anymore. He told his mother, "I'm going to keep fighting, just like Ali." When the news of Billy's passing reached Muhammad Ali, he was deeply moved. Friends say he went quiet for a long time. Because for all the wars he fought inside the ring, moments like this meant more. Ali once said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on Earth." That day in the hospital, he wasn't a world champion. He was simply a man giving strength to a child who needed it most. And maybe that was his greatest victory of all.
Hospitals are strange places. They are filled with silence, but also with battles. Behind every closed door is a fight no one sees. And in one of those rooms, in the mid-1970s, a young boy named Billy was fighting the biggest battle of his life: cancer. He was only a child, too young to understand politics, too young to understand fame, but old enough to understand one thing: Muhammad Ali was a hero. At that time, Muhammad Ali wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world. He was a global icon. Fresh off historic battles like the Rumble in the Jungle and the Thrilla in Manila, his name echoed across continents. He was the greatest. But Billy didn't care about belts. He cared about courage. Every time chemotherapy drained his small body, every time the pain felt unbearable, Billy would whisper, "I'm going to fight like Ali." Nurses noticed it first. When treatments became overwhelming, Billy would clench his fists and pretend he was in the ring. "Float like a butterfly," he would mumble weakly. That's when someone reached out to Ali's team. They didn't expect a response. Ali was traveling, training, speaking, living a life that moved faster than most people could imagine. But when the message reached him, something changed. A boy, fighting cancer, calling himself a champion. Ali didn't ask about cameras. He didn't ask about press. He asked one thing: "When can I see him?" Soft piano music begins. The hospital hallway was quiet that afternoon. Doctors whispered. Nurses adjusted equipment. And then, the door opened. Muhammad Ali stepped inside. No entourage, no spotlight, just a man walking toward a hospital bed. Billy looked smaller than anyone expected. Thin arms, pale face, tubes running from machines beside him. But when he saw Ali, his eyes lit up. It was like someone turned on the sun inside that room. Ali smiled,
Not the flashy grin from press conferences, but a soft, gentle smile. He leaned down close and said, "So this is the champion I've been hearing about." Billy tried to laugh, but it came out as a weak breath. Ali pulled up a chair. He didn't stand over him like a legend. He sat beside him like a friend. "You know something?" Ali said quietly. "They think I'm the greatest, but I heard you've been doing more fighting than me." Billy's tiny hands trembled as he raised them. Ali noticed, and that's when he did something unforgettable. He slowly raised his own fists. "All right, champ," he said. "Let's see what you got." The nurses froze. Doctor stood still. Ali began to move gently. Shadowboxing in slow motion. He exaggerated his reactions. "Oh, you got me with that one." Billy smiled wider than anyone had seen in weeks. For a few minutes, there was no cancer. There was no hospital. There was only a boxing ring and two fighters. Ali didn't rush. He asked Billy about his dreams. Billy said he wanted to grow up strong, like Ali. Ali shook his head gently. "No," he said. "You already are." Then he said something Billy's parents would never forget. "Champions aren't made in the ring. They're made in the hard times." Billy listened carefully. Every word mattered. Ali held his hand, and for the first time in months, Billy wasn't afraid. Time passed quickly. Before leaving, Ali asked if he could pray. The room fell silent. Ali bowed his head, not as a celebrity, not as a world champion, but as a human being asking for strength for a child. When he finished, he leaned close to Billy and whispered something only the boy could hear. No cameras captured it. No microphones recorded it. But witnesses say Billy's expression changed instantly. He looked calm and peace. In the days after Ali's visit, Billy's condition worsened. The treatments were no longer working. But something was different. Billy didn't cry anymore. He didn't ask why me. Instead, he told his mother, "I'm not scared." Ali said, "I'm already a champion." Those words carried him. When Billy passed away, his parents wrote a letter to Muhammad Ali. They told him that his visit didn't just make their son smile. It gave him strength. It gave him dignity. It gave him courage at the very end. When Ali received the news, friends and he grew very quiet. For a man who talked faster than lightning, silence meant something. Years later, Ali would say, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." He had won titles. He had defeated legends. He had shaken the world with his words. But moments like that hospital visit, those were the victories that mattered most. As Parkinson's disease slowly took away his physical strength in later years, stories like Billy's remained. Because boxing wasn't Ali's greatest legacy. Humanity was. In a world that often celebrates power, Ali showed compassion. In a sport built on violence, he showed tenderness. And in a hospital room filled with fear, he showed hope. Billy never became a professional boxer. He never stood under bright lights in Madison Square Garden. But in that quiet hospital room, he fought the bravest fight of all. And for one afternoon, he stood toe-to-toe with the greatest. And he won. Because courage isn't measured in punches. It's measured in heart. And that day, two champions met. One had the world title. The other had something even stronger. Unbreakable spirit.